If I'm a business owner and I'm trying to set up a long-term business that's going to be here in 10 and 20 and 30 years, that maybe one day I can sell, that's going to generate money consistently, I literally cannot think, both legally or from a business perspective, how a 1099 is a long-term beneficial strategy. There is no middle ground, right? So you're either a 1099 or you're a W-2. There is no simple in between. A 1099 is not your employee, everybody knows that, but what I mean by that is you don't control the means, manner, instrumentalities of how they do things. You're really simply evaluating the finished product, and that's it. You're not telling them how to do it. You have no right to tell them how to do it. They're doing it the way they want to, and you get to measure on the final result. That is the quintessential 1099. Now, here's the problem when you get to W-2s in banking. If you ever said to a banking examiner, yeah, I have no right to tell them how to do things, they do things how they want to, it's not my concern, it's not what I do, I just measure if the loans are done. Tell me how that exam's gonna go. Because here's the thing, when you sign your employees up, well, they are, as a 1099, that's what you're saying. I have no control over the means, instrumentalities, or methods of how they do their job. From a regulatory impact, RESPA, Section 8, we've all heard about the anti-kickback statute, okay, allows you to make payments, referral payments to employees. How do you lawfully do it to a 1099? The answer is you don't. If you want to try to say on one hand, I've complied with the SAFE Act and my banking laws, you have to say I'm fully accountable, I have the right to address however they do things, I'm in control. How does that juxtapose with the tax requirements that they be able to do and are totally independent and do whatever they want, how they want? They can't both be consistent. So essentially, you're putting yourself between a rock and a hard place of, do I want to violate IRS regulations and have a problem with the IRS on my taxes, or do I want to violate the SAFE Act? I don't know about you, but I really don't think either of those are very good options. I know that people sometimes hear from different banking departments, and even there's regulations at certain banking departments that say, well, you could do a 1099. And they kind of latch onto that and saying, oh, you see? Remember, that's a bank talking about a certain bank state law. It's not talking about FHA, and it's certainly not talking about the Internal Revenue Service, right? It's a disservice that's being done because they're answering only from that one perspective. And the problem here is you've got to worry about different regulations, you've got to worry about federal regulations, you've got to worry about agency requirements, you've got to worry about the Internal Revenue Service. They're not answering any of those things, and I promise you, if you get audited by the IRS and you get in trouble and you run back to the California Department of Banking and say, well, your rule says that, they're gonna look at you and saying, I didn't give you a tax advice, right? I told you what under our statute we permit. I'm not giving you tax advice. So they're completely different. But it's creating a real disservice because people are looking at it, and I think somewhat with rose-colored glasses, looking and giving them the answer they want to hear. This is a question of perception versus reality, okay? I think that people use it to almost attract people who are entrepreneurial and say, hey, you're gonna kind of have your own business. My first question to you as a business owner is, why would you create a business that is leveraged on someone else's business, right? Because if they get up and leave tomorrow, what do you have? And if you're making them independent from the start, that loyalty and connection to you is diminished. What people financially would say is that an employer doesn't have to pay employment taxes for the employees, right? Or has to. They don't do it for 1099s. So there's a benefit. Here's the thing. Why not just bake that into your mathematical calculations for your comp? You can back into it, right? This all could be made up through a little bit of creativity. It's about money, right? At the end of the day, if it's about money, there are 15 million ways to effectuate differences on money. So, true, they don't have the necessary deductions all the time, the same deductions, that's true. I think there are other ways to back into things. Lots of strategies, and I think sometimes it takes a little bit of creativity and a little bit of time to effectuate those same results. What's the old saying, nothing good ever comes easy? I think it's something like that, right? Yeah. it's spending a little bit of time and figuring it out and figuring out results, as opposed to just grabbing the easy solution off the shelf and saying, well, I'm just going to do this one. Look, instant gratification, right? From your business perspective, I would say sit down, take a little time, figure out another strategy. There is a better one, I promise you, and put that in place, and you're going to be able to sell it to your people.